All right, guys, got a special guest here for another episode. John Smith, one of the OGs in the drop shipping space. I saw actually, I followed him on Instagram. He coached me at one point, and back in 2018, 2019 time when we first met. And I saw he was super active again in the ecom space. So I hit him up and I said, I want to bring him on. I know a lot of people that watch our content are going to get a ton of value from this, whether you're in lead gen or you're in ecom. There's so much crossover and there's not a lot of conversation around it, which is why I wanted to bring him on and hear the ecom perspective, what's working today. Cause he came out the gate and he's hidden six figures already, pretty much right away. So he's obviously doing something right and has a lot to share from his years. So John, thank you for joining me today, brother. Appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you back, man. So what have you
Yeah.
been the last few years?
Well, farming actually. Spent all my ecom money on a farm in West Virginia. So back in 2020, we bought a 400-acre farm in West Virginia and started raising Highland cattle and just kind of trying to enjoy the good life. Um, and I stepped away from drop shipping, the ecom space in about 2021, just to kind of pursue a more I don't know, holistic lifestyle, just kind of family focused. And it's been a lot of fun for the last couple of years. And then I got back into ecom about 3, 4 months ago.
You had another newborn, what, about a year ago almost?
Yeah, a year and a half ago. Yeah, number 4. Yep.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, you're a young dad too. You're what, like 35, 36?
36. Yep.
36. 4 kids, dude. Yeah, I haven't had my first yet. It's in the works, but not quite yet. But yeah, so much respect to you, man. Like I can't imagine trying to do what we do in our respective, industries now, and then having 4 kids on top of that. Like I don't know how you do it, man. It's impressive.
Yeah, well, it's the one thing that makes it all worth it. So yeah.
Let me actually ask you that. How do you balance your time? Like because obviously you have less. Like your time is now dedicated to 4 little ones, and you have a great wife too, right? So how
Yeah.
do you manage that time?
It's a day-to-day thing, man. As much as I try to structure my schedule, we have to adapt to the things that are going on and that come up during the day. You got 4 kids. There's always something going on that's going to pull you away, and that's fine. You just have to adapt, right? And the more adaptable you are, the more efficient, more you're going to be able to accomplish. And the same thing with the farm. My cows will get out or something, and I got to go spend the next 2 hours chasing cows around. So it's just it's kind of crazy, but you just have to be super efficient when you get those moments to work and get a lot done in a short period of time. And it's just about adapting and not letting it bother you. You know.
So what would you say to someone that's around our age that has 2 kids, even maybe four, and they want to like quit their job and move into lead gen, e-commerce, do something online? Like that's probably a pretty easy excuse to say, "Oh, I don't have the time because I have kids." So what would you say to that
Sure,
person?
sure. Well, when I first started out, when I quit my job, I was a chef working 70, 80 hours a week and doing e-com on the side. And when I finally quit my job and started working from home, I quickly ran into this problem where you've got little kids running around. They want to come into your office while you're trying to work. And so I just started working in the middle of the night. I'd work from 9 p.m. to 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. And those were my work hours because the house is quiet and there's no distractions. It's not the kids' fault that you have things to do and you should spend time with them during the day. That's a huge blessing. I mean, it's not
Yeah.
that big of a deal to have to work a night shift or graveyard shift just to be, to make sure you're getting done what you need done. And yeah, you just have to be creative with your time and adapt. And I would recommend working in the middle of the night. That's what I did.
Does that
Worked for a
still
long
work for
time.
you? Because obviously you have 4 kids, age ranges from about 1 to what now? What, like 12?
14, 13, 8, and 1.
Oof. So you're
Yeah.
getting
So
kind of all types of
yeah,
child
I've got it.
challenges at once.
Yeah, I've got every tier here. I've got every yep. So now it's funny, I tried the night shift thing earlier this year and I couldn't do it. I think I'm getting too old for it. I had a really hard time staying awake that late. And part of the problem is that like I just have things that I have to do during the day because I've got animals to take care of and activities for the kids. My son's in baseball and that kind of stuff. So I have to be present, I have to be doing things during the day. And then chugging 2 or 3 monsters at night just doesn't work for me anymore. So when you're in your 20s, do that as much as you can, because it gets a little harder when you're older. Now I just have to be creative, and I think the most important thing for me is communicating with my wife. Like, here's my schedule. This is what I'm doing today. These are the times that I need to be in front of my computer with, a quiet house, that kind of thing. And she helps, and she'll take the kids, like she just took them to the library, and so that the house would be quiet for this call. And it's a team effort, and my 14-year-old actually helps me with my ecom stores now. She's actually doing some VA type work for me that you normally hire a VA. Yeah, so she gets to earn a little money, and
she's going through a real education process, not our public school system, which you and I could probably both talk about for days if we had to, right?
Yeah, they're very fortunate. They've got a mom that gets to stay on with them and homeschool them, and I try to help when I can, and as they get older, they'll be able to participate more and more in business endeavors.
So you obviously have your cigar brand, which we could talk about too. But let's touch on, you're doing dropshipping again, right? Or is it more like you're holding inventory in traditional ecom, or what's the model that you're running now?
No, it's pure dropshipping, just pretty much like the old days. I'd say a handful of things have changed. It seems to me that, like, as I've gotten back into the space over the last 3-4 months, everybody kind of has this idea that drop shipping has changed. So I don't know if it's like influencer based, like people have to influencers have to consistently come up with new content. And so they have to say, this doesn't work anymore. Here's what works. And so it like pushes the space in this kind of like artificial way. And so I came back in and I was like, I'm just going to do it exactly how I used to do it, how I've been doing it for 6 years, and see what happens. And of course, some things have changed. Some of the scaling methods are different nowadays, and you have to use third-party tracking. But besides that, like, not a whole lot has changed. The same types of products work, the same types of creatives work, the same type of stores work. I'd say you have to do a little bit better of a job making your store look presentable, more like a brand instead of a scammy site. The stuff that people used to get away with 5-6 years ago is pretty crazy. But if you put a little bit of effort into creating a brand image for your store, you can still run general stores, which is what we're doing, what we're teaching. And we've got multiple guys in the group doing 6 and 7 figures doing that. So the same strategies, the fundamentals haven't changed. And when you think about it from kind of a logical perspective, people haven't changed. They don't see this industry the way that we see it. We're inside of it. They just see ads on their feed. It's really just about, you're still just trying to grab their attention. You're still just trying to put a creative in front of them that's going to make them stop looking at cars and chicks, right? Like, you're just trying to break that concentration and show something that's going to get their attention. So none of that's changed. People really don't change. So which is cool to see that most of the strategies are still intact.
When you started dropshipping, was it 2015 or 2016?
It's 2017, actually.
2017.
Yeah.
What, during that 2017, I guess you took a pause in 2021, was it?
Mm-hmm.
What was your evolution as far as like revenue numbers, month over month or year over year? Like, what was your growth path?
Sure. My first, within a month, I was making about $500 a day profit. And that's when I decided to quit my job, because I had essentially tripled my salary. Even though I was working 80 hours a week at my job, I was still making more drop shipping 2-3 hours a night. So at that point, I quit my job. And then the next, I'd say 3 or 4 months were kind of stagnant. I didn't really grow that much. And then I had a $60,000 month, and then a light bulb came on, and I figured out how to scale. And I went from 60 to 600,000 the next month, and then to over $1 million the month after that. I ended up doing 10 million my first year in drop shipping.
In revenue or profit?
In revenue, yeah, at about 18 to 20% profit margin. So from someone who's
awesome,
I was making $50,000 a year at my salary, and that's the most I ever made in my life. At 27 years old, was $50,000 a year. And from that to almost $2 million profit in my first year of e-commerce was a pretty dramatic change. yeah. And then, once you're riding that momentum, that wave, like, you think about like, well, what else can I do? Because what if this falls apart? What if my account gets banned, or, whatever? You start imagining these scenarios where, I could lose this if something goes wrong, right? So you want to set up other things to protect yourself. That's why everybody preaches multiple streams of income, because you never know, one could go down. And that's when I decided to start my fulfillment company, Titan 3PL. And so my whole approach from that point was, how do I grow this fulfillment company? I need to bring people to this fulfillment company and provide a good service for them. And the way I decided to do that was actually becoming kind of an influencer guru type person. I was like, instead of like just running ads for a fulfillment company, I'll try to create clients. I'll teach people what I do. And then hopefully I can build enough trust with them, because I've helped them build this business, that they'll want to use my fulfillment company. And that worked extremely well. Titan 3PL grew to do over 20 million a year pretty consistently. And then this is kind of unfortunate. This is still unraveling right now, but around the end of last year, early this year, my business partner kind of screwed me over and forced me out of the business. I got James O'Keefe out of my own company. So,
wow, man.
Yeah, he took all of our clients to another company so that he wouldn't have to pay me anymore.
You're the face, man. Like, you're the
Yeah.
influencer, so you could just
Yes. So
easy.
as people are figuring this out, they're switching to. I started a new company. I mean, what am I going to do? Am I just going to give up, or am I going to start over and try to do it better? So I took on some new business partners, guys that I really trust, and we're starting a new fulfillment company and building it from the ground up. And a lot of old Titan clients are coming our way. So
nice. What so you got back in the drop shipping. First month, what did you hit? What revenues?
First month was like 40K, not very much. Yeah.
And you jumped to 100K this past month, right? We're finishing
correct.
out this month.
Yeah, finishing out this month a little over 100 grand. Yeah, so this is intentional. A lot of people are like, oh, these are nothing compared to what you used to do. You used to do 100K days. And I'm like, yeah, I know, I totally agree with you. But I'm using brand new payment processors, a brand new PayPal account. I've done the whole 0 to $1 million in my first month before. Like, I've done that challenge, and I received none of my payouts, because you scale that fast and they freak out and they just hold all your money. I literally received no payouts when I did that 1 to $1 million in like the first month challenge. And it's just not worth it, because then you're waiting 3-4 months to get payouts, and you eventually run out of cash. I mean, I don't have, tens of millions of dollars laying around to cash flow my business. So yeah, I mean, I could cash flow it for a little while, but eventually it gets tiresome. So I'm taking things a more gradual approach. Hopefully I can preserve my my processing accounts and not lose them. So yeah, the goal for this month was 100K, and you hit it pretty easily. Next month, we're going to shoot for 250, and then hopefully I can jump to around $1 million from there without spooking anybody too badly.
So what is different now versus 2018?
I think a lot of things are better, man. Like the same types of products work. I still run 100% image ads. I know with lead gen stuff, you do a lot of video stuff.
I do almost 100% image ads, because you could spin it out.
Oh, that's awesome.
50x, man. Yeah, you take like 10 creatives that work, and you put like different colors and like overlays. Yeah. And my editor could do that in like an hour, and then I have enough creatives for the next 3 weeks. Everyone says you need video. It's like the same thing. This is one of the big reasons why I want to have you on, because you have that ecom perspective that doesn't get shared. Like the two worlds don't talk to each other, but they could share so much that the benefits, there's definitely crossover if people look for it,
Yeah. And for a long time, like, I understood that there are advantages to video, and a lot of it is that you can make variations of those videos very easily. You can turn one video into 20 videos just by tweaking little things here and there, changing the order of the frames, or the music that you use, the voiceover, all that stuff. You can just tweak all that stuff and make a whole bunch of different variations. And with image ads, at least for drop shipping, you're limited to what's on AliExpress or whatever platform you're using. And unless you want to get the product shipped to you and do professional photography and that kind of stuff, it's kind of a waste of time. I'm very speed focused. I don't want to wait for all that stuff to happen. You miss the boat by that point. So, so that was kind of a drawback to image ads, but it never really affected me in a negative way because I would just recycle new products. So if the image got burnt out, then I would just move on to a new product, and that was my new creative. It's essentially the strategy. But now we have generative AI, and I don't know if you've seen my content on this yet, but I'm using Photoshop Beta to create new versions of old images. So you can highlight your product and select the empty space and then change it from like concrete to grass, or to, you know, change the colors or the shading and the lighting. And you can do it in just a few seconds. It's very easy to do. And so now we have the ability to essentially make unlimited creatives for our Ecom products. And I'd recommend trying this for, I mean, I don't know what your ads look like for lead gen, but you can probably incorporate generative AI.
Generative AI with Photoshop Beta.
Photoshop Beta. Yeah, you have to use their beta app. But it's so easy to do. Definitely play around with it. You can multiply your creatives in a few minutes.
Did you do a YouTube video on this?
I did. Yeah. I recently put a video up.
I'll test it, man. I'll give my creative team this today. So
yeah, I've been able to revive like old winning products, because Facebook, we all know Facebook loves new content and new creatives. And so if we're able to consistently provide that, I mean, that's the one thing that I learned when I messed around with affiliate marketing at the end of last year, was that what I learned from my mentor was that you have to consistently create new content. You need to put up 10, 20 new videos every week, and you're just constantly testing new creatives. And that's the whole game. And you can run the same offer for years and years just because you're able to put up new content. I was like, well, why doesn't that work for Ecom? But it does. You know, the thing that the only issue is that we just didn't have access to a lot of creatives, but now we can just make them ourselves with AI. And I've been able to revive old winners. I've been able to keep my current winners alive longer because I'm able to just create new content for them. And many of the guys in my coaching group are doing the same thing. One guy was like, I just revived my best product from last winter, and it's pulling a 7 ROAS because I just changed the background on with generative AI. It's pretty crazy.
You go very deep on like bundling the offer itself and split testing heavy there, or is it more still like you present a high value product with good marketing on the front with the ad and then good branding on the store, and you let the conversion rate do its thing? Like what's your strategy today?
I'd say that it changes based depending on the product. So it's dependent on the likelihood that a customer would want more than one, and then also the price range of the product. So you know, say you're selling a hoodie and you want to offer them a bundle of 3, buy 2, get 1 free or whatever. If you have to price the individual one at like $50 in order to make the bundle attractive, then that's probably not going to work in your favor for your conversion rate and your overall margins. If you can price it at, you know, $40, then maybe the bundle becomes, you know, the people that only want one, are still going to check out, basically. So you don't want to lose people because you're overpricing the individual units.
So try to force the bundle and the higher AOV.
Yeah, we don't want to force bundles, but there are like, I just kind of like let the product talk to me and like what makes sense for each one that we run.
What's the price range you play in today for like a single unit typical average product? Like what's like the lowest you want to go today, like assuming like a 3x markup?
Sure. So I in the past, I've always shot for the like $50 to $70 AOV range. That was like my sweet spot. And I'd say that it's pretty close to that now, but I've been a little bit more flexible in what I'm testing because I understand that things change and I just want to see like what's working today. And I ran a phone case last month or month before last. And I was selling it for $24.99. And I was actually getting it for like $15. So you can imagine the margin's like really, really slim. So what I did was I just changed the shipping to $9 and just made it a flat $9 for everybody. And I was getting a $4 to $5 CPP, and I was able to scale that up to a couple hundred orders a day pretty easily.
Wow. What's your I guess like I don't know if your conversion rate really matters. Obviously the margins there, but like what was your rough conversion rate on that product?
I want to say 3 to 4%. which is really good for drop shipping. I'd say like a good profitable store is around 2% is what I see. And yeah, that one just converted. It converted crazy well. Super low CVPs. I mean, I haven't seen numbers that low, and I certainly wasn't seeing those in 2020. So that was a really good sign to me that that you can still get cheap purchases today. I was pretty excited about that.
You have your Discord now, your private Discord. The Yard is the name, correct?
Yeah.
And what are the conversations you're having in there? I haven't joined yet, but I'm going to. What are the challenges you're seeing people in drop shipping running into today, and what are the solutions you're giving them in there?
Yeah, I mean the pain points are the same as they've always been. How do you find a winning product? What does a winning product look like? What's your product research method? It's all about the product. That's where people struggle the most. What should I be advertising? And in order to help people with this, we do weekly calls in the group. So every Tuesday at 2 p.m., everybody from the group can hop on a Zoom with me, and we look at products together, look at stores together, Q&A kind of thing. It's basically a mentorship, a group mentorship. And the product research side of this business is a skill that some people are born with and some people are not, but everybody can learn eventually. Just some people struggle with it more than others. It's kind of like the analogy that I like using is some people are born with rhythm and some people are not, but everybody can kind of learn it, through rigorous practice. And the practice is just spending time doing research and testing those products. And so I teach a volume testing method where I, test as many products as you can per week within your budget. And the amount that you test will determine what revenue numbers you hit. If I consistently test 20 to 30 products a week, I should be able to hit 7-figure months. That's generally my success rate. I usually have about a 20 to 30% success rate with finding profitable products. The average drop shipper is probably around 10%, and you can run a good store with 10% success rate. People starting out, though, this is where you lose most people, is that it usually takes 40 to 50 products before you hit that first winner. And there's multiple factors that play into this. The biggest one is just the eye for what is a good winning product. But the other part is just, sometimes Facebook wants to be a little stubborn at the start, and it takes a while to get that momentum going. Whenever I, launch a new store or a new ad account or whatever, there's this period of time where it feels like you just have no traction. Facebook's trying to figure out what you're doing, who your audience is, and you just have to kind of continue to push through that. And eventually, once you get that traction, you get that first profitable ad running, then the next one is a little bit easier and a little bit easier and a little bit easier. And that's where things start to really snowball, and you can that's where you start doing the big numbers, is you just keep pushing through that barrier.
What's a big success story you've seen from someone that's recently joined your group that was maybe not hitting, maybe they had some experience, but they were hitting big numbers, or they were just getting into it and then they blew up? Like what's one of the coolest things you've seen in the last few months?
Sure. So I'd say there's a few examples come to mind. One is actually my business partner. He's a new business partner, somebody that I decided I need help managing this group because it's just getting to be too much for one person to handle. And so there was this one guy in the group I could just tell he knew what he was doing, and he was doing things. He was using my strategy to achieve, hitting his numbers. So he was doing over 300K a month, and pretty much following my strategy exactly as I teach it. Now I was like, well, it's awesome that people are still using my Keys to Consistency course to hit big numbers. It's pretty awesome. That course was made 5 years ago. It just proves that the fundamentals haven't really changed. But it's my getting back into drop shipping seems to have started some kind of a movement where I've inspired a lot of guys who got out over the last few years to get back in. And one guy, he did 1,000 in his first month, and then 20,000, and then 60,000. And it's just fun to see these guys make continual progress. And I mean, the real value that's provided by this group is just the sense of community. When you surround yourself with a brotherhood of people that are pursuing the same goals as you, and you can motivate them every day. And that's I think my biggest challenge is just making sure that the group has that feeling every day, that we're all there supporting each other. We're all there hyping each other up, and everybody's individual success motivates the entire group. And so that community is honestly priceless. And it makes it fun for me. This is something that I really didn't do a lot in the past, as far as like building a community. I had the like Facebook group, but it's hard to kind of get that same feeling on a Facebook page. But with,
especially now, it's changed a lot. It's not the same kind of engagement.
Yeah. So with Discord, it's this chat group, and it's going, constantly all day. I've got guys from all over the world. So it's like people are constantly talking, whether it's morning or night, and just constantly motivating each other. And so it makes it worth it for me. Even if people didn't have to pay to join the group, I'd probably still do it because I get so much out of it. It motivates me. These guys going in there, killing it, and just adds so much value to my day-to-day.
It's cool, man. Yeah. In my Discord, I have a free tier, then the paid tier. And it's interesting because I read pretty much all the messages and conversations, even in the free chat. And I saw someone that was bitching about a big kind of like, I guess you could say, guru. I did his program. He's a rock star. I respect everything he does. He's legit. I know you know who he is. I'm not going to mention the name now because it's not a positive conversation, but I was complaining about like, how can I only do like 3,000 a day when these guys are doing 30,000? I paid for all these masterminds and courses. And it's like, dude, okay, you're clearly looking for like the magic pill inside one community or one course or one mentorship, but it's really like the connections, the social proof. Like if that guy could do it, you could do it too. Like that should give you that motivation, like you're saying. But then also just going in with the right expectations. Like at the end of the day, the only person that's going to make your business work is you. But like when you have a community, when you have an environment like you've built, like that should give you the juice at the very minimum, the inspiration to just keep chucking along to make it work. And then obviously the answers are going to come from the relationships, the quality questions you ask and everything too. So yeah, man, I couldn't agree more. Like having like a really strong community like that is it's priceless. And people often don't value it that do programs and courses and join groups, unfortunately.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
I think most people are negative to begin with. So it's not surprising.
Yeah, I think it's just part of human nature to kind of like blame the outside world for what's going on with you. Those guys, it's really just a mindset thing. And it's hard to look at yourself and be honest with what kind of effort you're putting into things. And the moment that you do that, that's when you have your breakthroughs, and you're like, you start being really honest with how much effort am I putting in. And it's not, you can't 100% rely on anybody because nobody's perfect. Like we're all out here doing our best, and but we're all still responsible for ourselves. You can't put your success on anyone else. That's not their job. They can guide you, they can give you advice, they can give you their time, but they can't do it for you.
Playing the victim's cheap and easy, isn't it?
Yeah.
What gets you excited today, man? Like just in and outside of business, like what's driving you right now?
I'm just so to be honest, like I'm at this stage in my life where I'm just like super grateful and wanting to enjoy what I already have. And so it's all about just trying to maintain that and trying to keep this lifestyle going where I can provide this peaceful, healthy place for my kids to grow up. And we grow our own food, we raise cattle, so we're eating our own beef and our own pork. We don't really eat a lot of vegetables, so we don't bother growing those. But I'm just trying to create the best environment possible for my family. And that's really all this is about. So I'm just doing what I'm good at because I know that helps provide a good lifestyle for my family.
And you said it was your daughter is helping you with the business now?
Yeah. She's doing product pages for me. So I put my product research on a Google sheet for her, and she builds out the entire product page.
Be honest, man. Is she building better product pages than you yet?
Not better than me, but better than any VA that I've worked with. She's
Heck
actually
yeah.
doing really good. And now ChatGPT is probably doing about 80% of the work, but
Hey,
she's
dude, let her go for it, man.
yeah,
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 absolutely.
yeah.
That's
No, that's
cool.
how I taught her to do it. I mean, even even a VA, I've worked with VAs and told them to use ChatGPT, and they still like manage to not do a very good job. It's kind of, yeah, I don't know. You still have to have a thing for copywriting, even if you're using AI to write it.
Do you have a big team at this point?
Uh, no, I'd say we've got 5 people. Yeah, never really needed a big team. The only time I ever went more than a handful of people on my team was, I guess, back in 2018. I hired like 30 VAs because I was going to grow things, and they just ended up being a huge waste of time. I can run a 7-figure store pretty much by myself, with the exception of customer service. The only other thing that I'd even consider outsourcing is my product pages, because that's something, I think that's a skill that can be taught. But
What in business? What are your general goals, like numbers wise, objective wise? What's in the pipeline in the next 6 to 12 months for you?
to be honest, like I have, pretty much everything I need. So I'm not super hungry as far as like hitting huge numbers, and not like I'm going to do a $10 million month. I mean, who knows? Maybe we'll get there. All I'm focused on right now is providing an environment for other people to learn and learn how to do this business. And that's where I'm getting my joy. I'm not going to make it about the money. I'm just trying to genuinely help people and provide a community, build a community that's beneficial to people's lives, that changes people's lives. And I try to set example for them in more than just in the business sense, but also the way that I conduct myself, personally, with my family, and the type of lifestyle that we live here. Try to be a positive influence, and just a different take on what kind of life people could aim for, because the lifestyle that we see from Ecom is always like fancy cars and penthouses and that kind of stuff. And I did that, don't get me wrong, but it didn't make me happy. It didn't make me fulfilled. It was never enough. And so I'm just trying to build a lifestyle that I stay grateful for, and just a more wholesome approach, and it seems to resonate with a lot of guys. It seems to be refreshing for some. So
Do you miss anything
yeah,
about Puerto Rico? That time in Puerto Rico?
This is my orange GTR. That's probably it. No, I don't miss Puerto Rico at all. I'd say that moving there was probably a huge mistake. My family wasn't ready for it. It was too stressful on the wife and the kids. Just to uproot like that and go to a brand new school and brand new neighborhood and brand new people. And we didn't really have a lot in common with the people there. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't take anything back, because it provided us with a lot of life lessons, and I grew and matured a lot because of my time there. But yeah, I certainly don't miss it. It wasn't, I don't think it was the best decision to make at that time.
We almost did it this year, man. We almost pulled the
Really?
trigger on it. We're actually I'm in Colombia right now. We were just visiting my fiance's family, but
Yeah.
we're moving here, but we don't have kids yet, and we're gonna be in and out of Colombia. This is more like a new home base, just to change it up. But
Sure.
yeah, man, I went pretty deep down the rabbit hole with like consults with tax attorneys and stuff to learn the full process on Puerto Rico. And it's just like, I think Puerto Rico is nice to visit, but I definitely agree with where you're coming from and what you mean. And then also the idea of someone like the government basically forcing you to physically be somewhere for 6 months to, get a tax
Starts to
credit.
feel like a prison. Yeah.
Doesn't make sense. Yeah. And it
Yeah.
shouldn't. Like I'd rather pay the money and just have the freedom, just
Yeah.
me personally.
Yeah, that's the conclusion I came to too. I'd rather just pay the taxes and live where I want. Because in Puerto Rico, you're always going to be an outsider, because you're not a native, you're not Puerto Rican, and that's fine. But it's just it's hard to put roots down in a place like that. So
Yeah. And you're with 4 kids and where you are in life now,
right.
you want
If
that.
I was a single guy, I'd probably do it, to be honest. Like if I didn't have 4 kids to drag around with me, and if my actions didn't affect, 5 other people, then I probably would consider doing it for a few years just to save up more money. But yeah, at the end of the day, like, it's just money. So you can always make more.
100%, man. What else are you doing now? Are you still lifting a lot?
Yeah. Yep. Still lifting weights. Started a workout routine for my kids. So 3 days a week, I'm training the kids as well. And my wife works out every day with me. We've got our own really nice home gym. Super blessed to have that, since it would be a 45-minute drive to go to a gym from where we live. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah. For those, I guess, for those of the people listening that don't know, I live on top of a mountain in West Virginia. My driveway's a mile long. I'm 45 minutes from any town, literally cool. In the middle of nowhere. But we absolutely love it. Yeah.
Cool. What else is new in your world, or are you focused on right now?
That's pretty much it, man. I mean, farm life takes up a lot of my time. Feed and take care of the cows, take care of our dogs, chickens. We're just working on developing the farm, so we're going to get another 60 acres cleared out for pasture later this year. And I enjoy doing that kind of stuff, and so that's where a lot of my focus is. And then just the Discord group, that gets the rest of my my work time, I guess, and then family.
What do you hope comes from the next, I don't know, the next year with the Discord? Like, what would make you happier from that?
I mean, obviously I'd love to see growth. Obviously, all of us would, with whatever work endeavor that we're involved with. We'd want to see growth. So I'd love to see the members keep coming in. But ultimately it's just a matter of providing real value. So my hope is that I'm able to consistently provide value to the group. And so me and my partner, Alex, are constantly working towards that and coming up with new ideas to help everybody in the group. And I don't know of any other dropshipping group out there that does weekly coaching calls for their entire group. We only charge $40 a month for the group, and we're literally doing 4 hours of calls with them. The $10 an hour for a mentorship basically is kind of outrageous. We're trying to over deliver, and we truly are over delivering. And I think it shows in the, I guess, the quality of our community.
What is some advice you have for, it can be for business, for people, just in general? Like, what's on your mind lately that you'd like to share with people as a whole, business specific or not?
I think the best business advice that I could give that I've ever received is that in order to scale any business to ridiculous levels, 8, 9 figures, you have to simplify things to like the most basic things. Like, you have to simplify your operations, because otherwise you get caught up in too many, putting out fires all the time, or you're too focused on organization or whatever. You just need to execute at the simplest ways. And the more you're able to simplify your business, the more you're able to scale it, because you're doing less to maintain the levels that you're at. So work on simplifying things. That's what my whole strategy is about. We build our stores a very specific way, and then it's just a matter of testing 20, 30 products every week, and that's it. Just keep testing products. And as long as you commit to that, you will see the results. So that was actually something that one of my neighbors in Puerto Rico, he was worth like $50 million or something. He's like, you only make it here to Puerto Rico. The only guys that make it here are the ones who figured out how to simplify their business in a way that allows them to scale to these kind of ridiculous numbers. Like, you can't get here without achieving that first. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. I think you're right. So yeah, simplicity is everything. Even in your like customer flow, like whatever, I'm not sure exactly what the lead gen flow looks like for you. But for Ecom, it's all about simplifying the checkout process and not scaring the person away. So, all the pop-ups and the timers and like all these things that are just like cluttering up the space, all that is taking attention away from what you really want them to do. And that's just to hit that add to cart button. They've already decided that they're interested all you have to do is let them finish. So you just get out of the way, let them hit that edit cart button, go through checkout. You just don't want to scare people away. So simplifying the funnel, the checkout process, at least for me, works the best.
Cool. And dude, it's cool, man, because I remember when we first met in 2018, you basically said the same thing. Like, just like I was asking, of course, when you coached me, I was probably asking like overly complicated questions and overthinking stuff. And you just brought it back to just keep it simple. Like, let the product sell itself. Don't put friction with the customer. Just those same ideas, and I appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
How can people find you and learn more about, obviously, your Discord, your ecom brands? I don't know if you still do one-on-one coaching. Your Instagram is pretty awesome. You put out some really honest content, which I appreciate, and I'm sure a lot of people watching this will too. So share all that, and we'll link back to everything as well.
Sure. Yeah. I guess the best way to get in touch with me is through Instagram. So Jonxpaul at Jonxpaul. And you can see all my links to whatever I'm doing from there.
You may or may not be shadow banned though. So how can they find the backup one just in case?
Yeah. So I've got another account, Real Jonxpaul, that I just started actually. I think it was yesterday. So yeah, I'm building that one up. That one's pure ecom focused. My original account, Jonxpaul, is kind of everything, my farm life, family, and a little bit of ecom mixed in.
Cool. All right, man. Well, I appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on. I know our audience
Yeah,
is going
thanks
to
for
love
having me.
this one. Yeah. Have a good one. All right.
All right, talk to you later, man.